Now that you've learned the sounds of the Greek alphabet, as well as the names of the letters, it's time to focus more attention on the vowels. I guess I should stress that all of this pronunciation is the Erasmian system of pronunciation. It is not the modern system, and it is not an alternative system to Erasmian for ancient Greek. It's the one that Desiderius Erasmus came up with in the 16th century. Here is a chart of the short and long vowels in the order of A, E, I, O, U for both the short and the long. We're going to go through the way each one of these is pronounced. First, the alpha. Both short and long are pronounced like the A in father, ah, ah. You might make a distinction between how long the duration is, but there is no difference as far as how it's pronounced. It's not a as in apple for the short and ah for the long. They're both ah. Epsilon is only short, and it's pronounced as the e in pet. The long of the same e sound is the eta, a as in eight. For the iota, it is short and long, and the short is like the I in pig, and the long is like the E in machine. The omicron is always short, and it is like the O in obey. The omega, which is always long, it's like the O in note. You'll notice that there is very little difference in how it's pronounced between the short and the long, but it's the duration. The difference between obey and note, as far as the O is concerned, is how long it lasts. Obey, note. Don't make a big deal of this, but that's the difference. The upsilon, again, duration is the difference between the short and the long, so that the upsilon, the U as in tunic, and the long is the U as in rude. Tunic, rude. As far as diphthongs are concerned, there are two short diphthongs, the I and the Oi, the AI diphthong and the OI diphthong. For the long, there are all these diphthongs. There are 7 of them. The AI and the OI are long only when they are followed by other letters in the same word. And then the EI, the UI, so A, E, O, U, with an I to close the diphthong, A, E, O, U to open the diphthong, and an I to close the diphthong, and then A, E, O to open the second group of diphthongs, and the upsilon to close it. So alpha iota, epsilon iota, omicron iota, upsilon iota, and alpha upsilon, epsilon, and omicron upsilon are the long diphthongs. The alpha iota diphthong is pronounced as the AI in aisle, I. If you want to think of it this way, you can think of it as just the sound of the two letters combined. I. But I is the short way of doing it. The EI, epsilon iota, is A as in veil. The OI, omicron iota, is Oi as in boil. The upsilon iota is we as in queen. And the alpha upsilon is ow as in kraut. Again, you can hear the ow, ow, ow. The epsilon upsilon is the U in feud. It sounds like it has a Y at the beginning. Feud, eu, eu. And the omicron upsilon is like the U in soup, oo. So the difference between them is whether it has a Y at the beginning, U for epsilon upsilon, or U for omicron upsilon. Now, just to give you some perspective, these are all the diphthongs in English. We have an AI diphthong, AE, AU, AY, EI, EE, EU, EY, OI, OE, OO, OU, OY, UI, UE, and UY. Instead of 7 diphthongs in Greek, there are 16 diphthongs in English. And just to give you some idea of the difficulty, many of these diphthongs are pronounced different ways, as illustrated by this Dr. Seuss sentence that tells you all the different ways of pronouncing the OU diphthong in English. The tough coughed as he plowed through the dough. So you have ah, ow, oo, o, all different pronunciations and correct pronunciations of the OU diphthong in English. In Greek, there's only one way to pronounce each one of the 7 diphthongs, and that is a great blessing. There are also a couple of improper diphthongs where the iota that closes the diphthong is not put after the vowel but underneath it. We call it the iota subscript. So the eta with the iota subscript and the omega with the iota subscript are two additional diphthongs which we call improper diphthongs because they don't have the iota following the eta and the omega. These do not change the pronunciation of these vowels, eta and omega. It's still a and o, but this subscripted iota gives you a grammatical signal, usually the signal of the dative singular. So if you just think of the diphthongs as going through the vowels in the alphabet, a, e, i, o, u, the iota is always closing a diphthong, and the upsilon is sometimes closing the diphthong. Then you have A, E, O, U, A, E, O for the 7 diphthongs, the first 4 of which close with the iota, the last 3 of which close with the upsilon. A little song that will help you remember the diphthongs, and we're only looking at the long column here, 7 diphthongs in that column. I'll sing it through several times and you can start singing it with me or play this video over again and sing it through several more times until you have them memorized. I, a, oi, we, ow, you, oo. 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 So that's the vowels and the diphthongs. In the next video, we're going to start singing scripture, and the first verse we're going to sing is Philippians 4 verse 4. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again I say rejoice, which in Greek is chairete in Korea pantote, Pauline ero chairete. See you then.